With part of college football preview show, of course, with me, Steve Monahan. Sorry about the late start to everyone. And the reason why, tech glitch. Basically, a little switch in Skype. I couldn't find it. And after 20 minutes of fiddling around with this thing, trying to get it, I did what we all do. I Googled, I can't see my guest in eCam through Skype. What do I do?
You're too honest, Mitch. You're too honest with the behind the scenes here.
But here it is. Here's the diagram they showed me. Arrows.
Hit that.
It's like if you can't do that, you're not having a fucking guest today. That's basically what they're saying. Anyways, we're going to do college football. We'll give everyone a couple seconds to join us because we're here late. Apologize for that. I'm not big on the apologies, but I'm going to take a quick look at the college football schedule, and we'll see what half of it looks like. Of course, we got Major League Baseball. Steve, I'm bringing up the college football schedule for this week. You have any thoughts on tonight's baseball games? We got in just about 50 minutes. We have the Braves and the Cardinals in Atlanta, and then we have the Dodgers and the Nationals in LA later on tonight.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are, North Jersey, born in the Bronx, for all our audience members, diehard Yankee fans. I like to think I'm objective. I like the Houston Astros.
Well, they're not playing tonight. We're talking about tonight's game.
I understand. I'm coming right to the chase here, folks.
Get right to it because we've got college football to cover.
What do I like tonight? I like the Dodgers, that type of thing. I'm cutting to the chase, folks. I like the Dodgers and the Astros in the World Series, and I like Houston winning it all. So if we want to go game by game, okay, game 1, game 2, game 3, game 5, blah, blah, blah. I like the Yankees to beat the Twins, but I can't see the Dodgers losing to the Nats. I just can't on that front.
Mike, did you get the notification? Did you get the notification on YouTube or on Facebook? I'm wondering if people got it on YouTube.
Mike Reynolds?
Yeah, I'm just asking everybody, if they got it, how they got it. This is the best way to get response. Some people think it's surveys. I asked these guys.
Right.
Way quicker, way easier, and always a lot more honest response. But Steve wasn't with us yesterday. Steve, a quick pick in the NFL game for tonight before we get started. Seahawks-Rams. Seahawks laying a point at home against your boy Jared Goff, who's...
we've had this discussion. I'm going to take the Rams on the road here, no doubt.
All right, I'm
too talented. I know Seattle's home. I know Goff. Listen, the kid threw for 517 yards last week. Probably the most useless 517 yards in the history of the NFL. But I think the Rams are too talented, and I think they're going to start their engines. And I like the Rams on the road here.
Yeah,
even though, listen, we've talked about Seattle and the dirty Seattle team, but I'm going to go with the Rams here.
Yeah,
and I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, I've already given this pick out about 4 times, but I'm still on the Seahawks. You those 517 yards of Jared Goff. The proper term for that in NFL speak, we call that Jake Plummer yardage. The king of garbage time, the absolute king, undisputed. Back when I played fantasy football, I always had Jay Cutler on my teams, or not Jay Cutler, Jake Plummer, because.
Right. Jake the Snake.
Oh, come on. The king of 290 yards in the second half alone. The king of it. The king of
the... So we're always down by 37
Right,
points.
exactly. The undisputed king of garbage time throwing into the prevent defense. I mean, Jared Goff was a joke last week. A joke.
He was. Listen, I'm big on Jared Goff. I don't care.
Who in the hell throws for three
Second year
interceptions?
takes him to the Super Bowl.
With these passing rules, you throw for 3 interceptions. Anyways, we're going to do the first half of the college football schedule. I'm just quickly looking at it because I was doing this tech stuff. I've been working on the website. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to check out the website. It's pickdogs.com. We're up and running. Free picks on all the games, locked and loaded. We're just kind of a shell of what we're going to be, but still better than what everybody else out there has. So we got our same crew of writers that we used to have. We'll just go through up to the 3:30 games on Saturday, and then tomorrow we'll bring it home. So let's just get started. We got action coming up tonight. Georgia Southern against South Alabama. The line on this one, 10. South Alabama getting 10 at home. 59% of the public on Georgia Southern. The lines come down from 13.5 to 10. Steve, what are your thoughts here? 1-3 versus 1-4.
I like Georgia Southern here. 10 points, going Georgia Southern.
Yeah, this is not a great South Alabama team. I like I love South Alabama because they call them USA, but I tell you, I don't love.
This is the school where you got the letter, right? Clarifying what.
Yeah, I don't love them in this spot. Georgia Southern has they're 1-3, but they've had some close calls against really good teams. So
they have, and they're perennial, pretty good program. We'll go.
Yeah, if you don't like running the football and you hate watching teams that run the football, you're gonna have to tune out there in this one and hope that the baseball game runs a little long for you because Georgia Southern. They will. They might not throw a pass in this game. So we both got Georgia Southern. And then on the other one, we got East Carolina plus 12 against the Temple Owls.
I'm going to go with the Temple Owls, especially after their performance last week. I think the Temple Owls, I'll take that 12 points with the Temples here.
You're laying 12. I'll take East Carolina at home, getting 12 points at home. I love that wide open offense. Believe that Skip Holtz is still there. And I'm not sure if he's still there or not.
I know Temple's on the road, but I think Temple coming off their performance last week. They're a nitty-gritty bunch. That's blue-collar school Temple for all our fans that are not familiar with the Philly area and where Temple's located.
Skip Holtz is at Louisiana Tech. I got all these guys confused.
He was there. Yeah, Skip Holtz was in East Carolina at one point. I know it's a lot of points, but I think Temple, based on their performance.
ECU coach is Mike Houston, who's pretty damn good in his own right. I like ECU in this one. I think that Temple is the popular play. I think getting 12 points with a home dog is too good to pass up. We got 2 double-digit home dogs in college football tonight. Something's got to give, and my guess is this is where the books hit the public hard because this is the bigger game of the 2 college football games, and this is the book's best chance to clean house on somebody. I think 12 is just too much. I like Temple. They play on emotion, but here it is, 69% of the public on Temple. The line has dropped a point, which is 31%. When 31% of the public is on one team, I'm usually part of that 31%. I'm going to take ECU. We go to tomorrow night. We head to the Queen City, and this is a tough game, too. We got Cincinnati hosting UCF. Cincinnati getting 3.5 at home. 70% of the public on the Knights in this one. Knights 3.5-point favorites on the road, going to Cincinnati, the home of Skyline Chili, and that's where my wife is from, too. So, just a little bit of preview there. But
and you'd spend a lot of time in Cincinnati yourself. Who you kidding?
Absolutely.
That's how you met your wife, wasn't it?
Absolutely. So who do you like here, Steve?
I like UCF. I know Cincinnati's home. Luke Fickell's head coach, Cincinnati, Ohio State guy. UCF, listen, for the last 2.5 years, they've been playing good football. I'll take Mike's spread was 4. If it dropped to 3.5, I still like UCF. Cincinnati got their asses whipped by Ohio State, which you expected, but they got their asses kicked by a lot. And I know Cincinnati's home, but UCF, I'm comfortable with the 3.5. that they'll win by a touchdown.
I'm going to take Cincinnati in this one. I think that they just play hard-nosed football. I think they're going to come out and play hard-nosed football in this one. I think with 70% of the public on UCF, I love being on the other side of it. I think that UCF has a good chance to win this game. I think it's a late field goal at best. I think this is going to be a dogfight. Cincinnati, just super physical teams. I love teams that the next week after you play them, you're still feeling it, and Cincinnati is
so you think UCF is a really, they're a pretty good team. I mean,
yeah, but the book is out.
Probably a top 30 team. I'm not saying they're a top 20 team.
But so is Cincinnati, and so is Cincinnati. But I think that when a team like UCF that has shown vulnerability to getting scored on in the past, when they play teams like Memphis and things like that, once a physical team figures out how to beat them, which happened this season, the book is out. And Cincinnati is a better version of Pittsburgh. They're just a better version. They have a better quarterback, better running game, and a better defense. And I think that, the book is out. What's Cincinnati's game plan going to be? The exact same one that Pitt used to beat them, and that's to punch them in the face over and over and over and over and over again, because no one likes getting punched in the nose. Speaking of getting punched in the nose,
Cincinnati.
we got a gem to wind up Friday night action. San Jose State hosted New Mexico, and Spartans laying 6.5 in this one. I've been on Sparty plenty this season. I know getting points. This is an underrated team, 2-2. This could be the bowl year for San Jose State. Meanwhile, New Mexico 2-2, looking to get on the right side of 500 themselves here. Another team, possible bowl candidates. We talk about the New Mexico Bowl often. Last week I referred to the BYU Toledo game as a preview of the Potato Bowl, but actually that's more of a preview of the New Mexico Bowl. Not going to give the plug to Gildan because I'm not sure if it's still the Gildan. Well, I just did, right? But it's like, I'm not sure if it's still the Gildan New Mexico Bowl or if it's just the New Mexico Bowl or if it's like something else New Mexico Bowl. It's the New Mexico Bowl. It's San Jose State, New Mexico, Mountain West football, 10 p.m. Eastern time start on a Friday night. This is what Friday night football is all about. This is the type of thing I started.
All our college junkies.
Yeah, I have my pick here already. I know what it is, and so go ahead, Steve, and I'll let you, because mine's gonna be quick.
I'm gonna go with New Mexico.
All right, Steve's taking New Mexico. They're getting 6.
You're all on Sparty, buddy.
New Mexico. All right, I'll tell you what the pick is here, and I'll show you my angle. 78% of the public is on San Jose State here too, with the line. The line has dropped a half a point. So I'm not so sure about Steve's New Mexico pick one way or the other. But we know Mountain West games, Friday night, they score on every play, okay? Over. The over is set at 67. That's almost 10 touchdowns between New Mexico and San Jose State. We're talking about New Mexico that had that scoring fest against New Mexico State. I mean, that's at least New Mexico State is a state that's a state. San Jose is not even a state. I'll tell you, I'm going to take San Jose. I'm going to take the over in this one. I like over 67.
I'll go with the over. There's no question, but I'll take New Mexico here. I'll go dog on this one.
We're moving to Saturday action. Speaking of overs, Texas Tech hosting Oklahoma State. Texas Tech getting 10 at home after that lambasting at the hands of Oklahoma where, oh, man, if it was a fight, they would have stopped it. They just, you want to talk about, we know the Matador block, but this was Matador tackling going on by Texas Tech as Oklahoma ran circles around. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State, man, you want to talk about a team that stood up against Kansas State. I really liked Kansas State in that game. And Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy's guys, they look good.
They did. This is no question. I'm going Oklahoma State here. I took Oklahoma. I said they were going to crush Texas Tech, and boy, did they ever. So I'm not impressed with Texas Tech. Oklahoma State, to your point, Mike Gundy's been there for, 20 years now? Maybe. At least 17, right? OK State produces NFL talent. 10 points here. I'm all in on Oklahoma State, Mitch.
I'm on Oklahoma State, too, minus the 10 points. Those of you watching us live, if you could hit the thumbs up, and if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, takes you half a second, helps us a ton. I'm kind of on a different computer today, so that's why I'm shifting around all this. Not kind of on a different computer. I am on a different computer. That's why I had the tech difficulties. I couldn't get Steve on the show yesterday, and I got
bullshit. Bullshit.
I got him on. I got him on today, but I had to do it through my the Air computer. You know, that's not even really a computer. It's just Air, right? So I have that one.
Thanks. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, whatever works, man. Whatever it takes. No excuses. Just this is my motto. It's been the same thing for the last 12 years, and it's always going to continue to be this way. When the other guys say, "Well, I was on vacation, I got stuck," no excuses, just free picks. That's
my
what we
urologist appointment ran late.
We've done the live show from Costco, getting the free samples. The guy saying, all organic, no need to panic. I'm like eating the Cheetos. It's like we've done it all. We've done Walmart. We've done at the beach. We've done airports. We've done airport lounges. We've done, you name it. We've done a show from there. And we've done it in the car. We've done it moving in the car. We've done it, we've done it at like 6 o'clock in the morning in the airport where everyone's sleeping and stuff. We've done it everywhere. No excuses, just free picks. It's not why we can't do it. It's finding a way to do it. But anyway, speaking of a team that needs to find a way to do it, Rutgers Scarlet Knights hosting Maryland. 77% of the public believe that Maryland is going to take out that frustration of last week's Penn State beatdown. Laying 12 points on the road here at Rutgers. 77% of the public here on Maryland. The line has moved from 13 down to 12 with only 23% of the public on Rutgers. Chris Ash, it was nice knowing you. I would say that there are certain coaches, that just never got a fair shake. They never got you don't know the backstory, but it's kind of like when a coach comes in and they're just dealt a really bad hand, and it's like they take it out.
Hey, I need to cut you off on this. I got a personal connection here, folks, okay? Chris Ash, to Mitch's point, if you're going to Rutgers, you're going to get a bad hand regardless, okay? Chris Ash came from Ohio State, et cetera, et cetera. So I coached my son, 12 and 13 football. The Kevin Bacon 6 degrees of separation here is I coached Nunzio Campanelli's son, and I know Nunzio. And I actually talked to Nunzio the Thursday.
Hold on. Is there a point to this story?
Wait. Let me
Is there a point to this story?
Practice before, that was one of our best bets last week, was Michigan, 27.5, and they won 52-0. My point is, I know Nunzio Campanelli. I love him. I respect him. Great high school coach. It's his first game. That being said, Maryland, I'm taking Maryland on the road at Rutgers. Nunzio is the interim coach. I wish him well, but I really think Nunzio is actually going to be the head coach going forward to Rutgers. So I wish him well. However, listen, it's Rutgers. It's his first game. Maryland on the road. Maryland, again, we talked about Maryland. They're inconsistent, but they laid 63 on Syracuse. I'll take Maryland and covering 12 points here.
I'll take Maryland also. We're going to move on from this one. We're going to go to LSU, Baton Rouge, where the Tigers are taking on Utah State. LSU laying 27.5, 61% of the public on the Tigers. Looks to be just, I was asked the other day, who's the biggest surprise in college football? We're about halfway through the season almost. To me, it's LSU all the way. Who's the biggest surprise? Doesn't stop me here. I love Utah State in this one. It's way too many points.
Listen, LSU, obviously top 10 program, 27.5. Utah State's a pretty good team. I think they'll be competitive. I'll take Utah State all day here.
Just seems
LSU obviously is going to win the game, though. Let's be real.
Sticking with the theme, we go to Army, who's taking on Tulane in this one. The Green Wave getting are favored by 3 points at Army. The line, this is one of those games, something looks funny. 68% of the public on Army, yet they're getting 3. The line went from 1.5 to 3. Tulane, 32% of the public laying 3 on the road at Army, who's unbeaten at home. Somebody knows something. I always go with somebody in those cases.
I got Army all day long.
All right,
give me the Cadets all day on this one.
I'll tell you, this is the type of game.
I'm not even questioning this one.
This is the type of game where you just take Tulane. You don't even think twice about it. You go to the window. You just take Tulane, and you don't even you go back in 2 or 3 hours. You don't even look at the score of the game. You just go back. You cash your ticket, and you move on to the next one because this is one of those games. 32% of the public in a game where if you look at it on the surface, you say Army's probably favored by 4.5, 5 points. And, you say, how is Tulane favored in this game? They were smashed by Houston, right? We saw, oh, no, they came back, right? They came back and beat Houston in that game. But regardless, I mean, they just don't figure here. So, I mean, there's someone knows something.
I got Army. You could talk about Tulane all day.
Yeah. All right, we go to Ann Arbor, where Mr. Khaki, Jim Harbaugh, up against Iowa.
It's a good game.
Michigan 3.5-point favorites in this one.
You're going to take the Iowa Hawkeyes on the road here.
I don't even understand how the line is at 3.5. How this is not a pick 'em or Iowa's not favored. It doesn't even make sense to me. Iowa wins this game outright. I like Iowa on the money line. I don't even see how Michigan is even favored here. I think that this could be the Shea Patterson farewell game at Michigan because I could see the Iowa defense just lighting him up.
Dylan McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's younger brother, is waiting in the wings. To your point, listen, he don't play.
He played last week. He was not overly impressive.
I think the Dylan McCaffrey era they got nothing to lose.
Not overly impressive.
Nope.
We got UConn taking on South Florida. 70% of the public on South Florida in this one, yet the line has dropped to 0.5 point. This one's at UConn. That means Storrs, Connecticut. One of Steve's spots, close to his spots. But the Huskies, 11-point dogs here against Charlie Strong, South Florida. Both tough starts of the season for Charlie Strong. They had that opening game against Wisconsin. To me, it just looks like they've never recovered from that game.
Listen, UConn, I actually took UConn a couple weeks ago, and the spread was huge. They stink. Absolutely stink. I'll take Charlie Strong on the road. And I'm saying the University of South Florida Bulls or Ohio State or anything, but I'm willing to lay the points with USF here. I think UConn stinks.
So I did the football show yesterday. I also have a video on YouTube. If you look at our YouTube channel, I have my pick out on that one. LSU plays Florida next week. LSU and Florida play the tough schedules, of course, and Auburn, while Alabama plays that patsy schedule. I'm not even sure how they schedule in the SEC.
But Alabama's coming into a buzzsaw soon, too. They got LSU, Auburn.
Right, but,
they all play
but these guys are. But everybody else is playing it every week. That's the difference.
Oh, that's
the difference. Wisconsin at home taking on Kent State. Wisconsin not looking good last week.
What do you like in UConn USF? You said.
I don't love this game. This is a game that.
Going Penny.
You
haven't had Penny yet.
Yeah, I think I'll go with USF in this one. It's always tough for me to take UConn.
Yeah, I'm going USF a little bit.
We go to Wisconsin. The Badgers coming off of that narrow win over Kent State.
Northwestern.
Yeah, over Northwestern. Now they play Kent State, a MAC team at home. We saw them beat up on some of the weak teams earlier, and it wasn't pretty. I mean, you have a great defense and a great running game, usually a magical formula for winning games and winning championships. Unfortunately, when Paul Chryst is your coach, it kind of takes all that good stuff out of there. And, you have...
Taylor's a good running back, though.
Yeah, well, Paul Chryst is a running back coach, right? Yeah. And that's what he is. He coaches.
Why? Because they got 300 pounds.
I always talk about Larry. I always play, coaches' resumes, Jeopardy here. And I always you look at Larry Coker's resume, Barry Sanders, Edward James, right? I mean, ridiculous, right? But if you look at Paul Chryst's resume, okay, for running backs, no shrinking violet either. He's got a whole host of NFL running backs. Melvin Gordon, James Conner. He's got, a couple other guys in there. And now he's got this guy, Taylor. So Paul Chryst, not quite the Larry Coker, Barry Sanders, Edward James level, but he's he might be the second best. That we've
He's
seen.
a pretty good coach, Paul Chris. I'll tell you that.
Good running backs coach.
Yeah, but overall record good coach guy. He is.
They play a lot.
And Wisconsin, come on.
They don't play.
It's got to be his 5th or 6th year at Wisconsin. They got to average at least 9 wins a year.
They don't play. They play nobody.
They play in the Big Ten,
right? They play nobody. The Big Ten is basically a bunch of nobodies. Look at the Big Ten. Let's look at the Big Ten's bowl record over the last 10 years.
It stinks.
It stinks.
I get that. I'm talking interconference play.
Oh, come on. They don't play anybody, these teams, outside of conference. They're playing Kent State. Case in point. It's the Kent State game. And, of course, they're home. So,
all right, who do we like?
This replaces the Northern Illinois game that's been on their schedule for the last 15 years. And, so I love Wisconsin laying the points here. I think that this is a showcase game. I think this is a clear the bench game. And it's probably homecoming, is my guess, in Madison, October 5th. It's got to be right around homecoming. I think the Badgers roll them up.
Well, you would know. You mentioned that Camp Randall's one of your favorite venues.
I love
it.
Brats
and everything else.
Yeah. And
but the last I saw, Mitch, it's 36 points. You comfortable with that over the Kent State?
I got it 35, but I like it in anywhere in that range. I think this is the type of game where hopefully Wisconsin gets off to a slow start and we can pound them in the second half as well.
I'm gonna go Kent State. I don't like 36 points there.
This could be your worst. This could be worse than the Jared Goff is a viable NFL QB comment.
I'm telling you, 36. I'm not going 36.
We're going to have Jim Monahan on here just to beat him up about that.
That's okay. It's my brother. I do a sports podcast, Sports with Mono and Mono.
I know he loves Goff. He loves Goff. It's like,
he loves Goff.
Do you watch games?
Second-year quarterback taking the team to the Super Bowl. This guy's
the quarterback didn't take that team to the Super Bowl. That was a team that took themselves to the Super Bowl, and that's what happened in that one. The Rams spent a lot of money. The Rams spent a lot of money on that team to get them to the Super Bowl across the board. Not just they spent a ton of money. Defensive line, offensive line. Linebackers, wide receivers.
What team doesn't?
They spent
what team doesn't?
They spent a ton. Well, I'll tell you who doesn't is everybody else.
Okay.
I think we lost.
What do we got next, my brother?
We got Oklahoma on the road, laying 32 at Kansas.
What do we got?
Oklahoma minus 32.
I'm all in on Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think that this one we're in agreement on. I love
Jalen Hurts in his sleep's going to score or run for 2, pass for 2.
I'll say what I love Oklahoma here, but like I said, in our Facebook group, and I'll continue to say it again. If Jalen Hurts wins the Heisman Trophy, they should do away with the award. Steve is not related to Ray Monahan. It's spelled different. It's spelled differently.
A silent J. And I don't know if being related to Ray Monahan is a good or bad thing, but
It's a non-thing. I know him. I know him. He's a friend. He's not a not friend. He's a business friend, and I respect him in the industry, like in that sort of way. But there is no relation. It's spelled differently.
I do want to say shout out to Cliff Olander. Cliff is saying good afternoon, gentlemen. Cliff, I've been noticing that you've been listening to my sports podcast with my brother. I want to thank you very much.
You deserve a medal.
Appreciate it.
You deserve a medal. Gold star on the forehead.
Cliff, let's meet in person. We'll present you.
Cliff, I need to know your opinion on their logo. I just need to. I need an opinion.
It could be no. Actually, my girlfriend Carmela is actually taking front center of rebranding that logo.
Yeah, gruesome.
This is
a logo. That's a logo right there.
Carmella, my girl, is on the logo front. You're going to see a new, better logo.
Iowa State laying 3.5 against TCU. You badmouthed my Horned Frogs right into a win last week. Gary Patterson, he might lose some games that he should win, and he wins a lot of games that he should lose. Iowa State, man.
He's a good coach, man. Listen,
well, that's why
I'm a Gary Patterson fan. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, you could list the top 20 highest paid head coaches in college football and ask where Gary Patterson falls on that list, and I'm going to guess that 99 out of 100 college football fans not in that part of the country couldn't place Patterson within 3 spots of where he's paid on that list.
And they wouldn't know that 2 T's were in his last name, too.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man.
Big fan of him.
He makes the big.
But
big
Iowa
bucks.
State's having a good year here. Let's be real.
He makes.
Cyclones are good every 10 years or so.
No, they're good. They have Dan Campbell, who's really one of the best up and coming coaches. And I thought that when Manny Diaz had taken the Temple job and Mark Richt had stepped down at from the Miami job, that I would have been just fine with Dan Campbell coming in there and running the Miami program. He's that good. If you can win at Iowa
State, Cowboy Dan Campbell, tight end, Miami guy.
I'm not sure if it's the same guy.
No, Texas A&M, I think he played at.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same guy.
No, Dan Campbell.
I don't believe so.
Come on, what are the chances?
The chances are pretty good.
I think it's Dan Campbell, who I think of.
You think it's the same one? The guy who played
tight end, Dan Campbell. I think he played at Texas A&M. I think
that's Matt Campbell.
All right. Well, Dan Campbell, I'm
right. Maybe that's where I get from. It's Matt Campbell is the coach at Iowa State. He's a damn good coach. But he was the coach at Mount Union. Or he played at Mount Union. He's like he played at.
And does the audience know about Mount Union Division III? They win the national championship, the last 20 out of freaking 24 years or whatever?
He coached at Mount Union. He coached at Bowling Green and Toledo. And
well, why don't we lead into Bowling Green coming into South Bend?
Well, we're not at the game yet. We're at Iowa State against TCU.
I'm just saying Bowling Green is good. We're going to talk about that soon.
Yeah, I'm sure people are waiting on the edge of their seat for that one.
Well, it's a spread.
So who do you like here, Iowa State or TCU?
God. Where's the game at again, Mitchell?
It's at Iowa State in Ames.
I'm going to go with Iowa State at home.
All right, here's my issue I have with Iowa State in this game. A team that I traditionally like on these shows and, in our Facebook group and all that stuff. And I love Matt Campbell, but he's not a guy who's going to win. It's tough to win. Iowa State's a tough place to win every year. It's the type of place where you could win every 2 years. But you have to build a team to build a winning team there. It's not like they reload at Iowa State, But here's the issue that I have with Iowa State laying 3.5 points. You look at their 2 losses. You look at their 4 games this season. Okay, the first one they played Northern Iowa, they won by 3 points in overtime.
Right.
They lost to Iowa by 1 point, 18-17. Then they played Louisiana Monroe. They played Louisiana Monroe, 72-20, and then they lost last week against Baylor. I had Baylor in that one. You had Iowa State, and they lost by 2 points. This is a team that plays in a ton of close games. So when you're laying that hook over the 3 points, it becomes a very, very big number all of a sudden because you got a team that plays in a lot of close games. So it's kind of like that Panthers game last week where it's like you say, man, this is a team that really keeps scores low. They play in a lot of close games. That 3.5 points is like the equivalent of 10 in an Oklahoma game or something.
All right.
I'm going to take 3.5 with TCU because I think they got a defense that can turn this into a very, very ugly, ugly game.
I got Iowa State.
All right. We'll move right along. Those of you joining us late, this is Mitch from Pick Dogs. I got Steve Monahan. He's with us doing our college football Part 1 preview. We're previewing all the games before that go up to the 3:30 Eastern Time slot, and then tomorrow we'll do the second half. The reason why we break the show in half, we did them all in one show one time. It took almost 2 hours, which is great, but I don't know. It's a little much. But we got baseball starting in just a little while. Tomorrow there'll be baseball on while we're doing the show. So, that'll be interesting because it's 4 baseball games tomorrow, one of those great days. 4 baseball games. 2 college football games, and of course it all wraps up with that New Mexico-San Jose State battle tomorrow night. But anyways, let's keep rolling right along. Those of you joining us on YouTube, if you can hit the subscribe button, greatly appreciated. Thumbs up, also greatly appreciated. And if you haven't had a chance to do so yet, visit our website, pickdogs.com. It's my biggest and best venture yet. It's just started. It just got up yesterday, so we got a lot of work to do, a lot of wood to chop on the website. But one thing that we don't have a lot of wood to chop on is on the content, because we got so many free picks every game, every sport, every day. No excuses, just free picks, locked and loaded. It's clean, it's fast, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Oh. Anyways, let's go. We got Penn State coming off of that giant win over Maryland. 28.5-point favorites over Purdue, who's with Jeff Brom's team, seriously disappointing this season.
Yeah. 28-point spread. The Nittany Lions are at home. They crushed last week. What's the score? 58, 59 nothing?
59 nothing.
59 nothing. That's a lot of points.
If it was a fight, they would have stopped it.
They would. I got to think that it's 28 points. I'm a Penn State guy, I think, on this. To your point, Purdue's been disappointing. Happy Valley, over 100,000 people. James Franklin is the type of coach, when he's up, he don't put the third string in, man. He'll kick a field goal and up 43 nothing, that type of thing. I think I'm comfortable here. Penn State covering 28 against Purdue at home.
I'm on the other half of this one. Purdue is a down program, and with them being down like that, we're going to get overvalued, especially with Penn State in the world. A lot of people like Maryland last week, and I was one of them. And, if you were on Maryland, you're still hurting, and you're saying, man, Penn State was so good. And it's like I think a lot of bettors do that. They have that carryover effect. And that's why I'm a ship jumper, right? It's like I have no problem saying, I know I said that last week, but this week I'm saying this. A lot of bettors, they have this thing. We only have certain teams out there that are kind of like the Mitch teams or the Pick Dog teams. They used to be my old site's teams, and now that we brought them with us, it's like I'll probably get sued. I'll probably get sued for that too, right? But you brought over Eastern Michigan with you too. It's like, all right, I did. It's like. But they covered 9 of 11 games last year. It's like, how can I not bring them? It's like, the judge will be like, seriously, how can he not bring them? It's like, anyway. Louisville minus 5.5 against Boston College. Louisville 2-2 after that opening pounding that we saw. Meanwhile, the Eagles 3-2. If you can figure out this Boston College team, losers to Wake last week, didn't even cover the spread in that thing.
I think I had the Wake on that last week, brother.
I had BC.
I'm disappointed in Boston College. I think the end of the Diazio era is going to happen. I think that the players have checked out at BC. We're mid-season, week 4, week 5. I'm going to say I'll take Louisville here. I just think Boston College, I think a change is happening. Players have tuned out. I'll take the Louisville Cardinals here.
I'm going to take BC. I haven't given up on these guys yet. BC's traditionally a bowl team, but they're not like they're not a 9-3 bowl team. They're a 6-6 bowl team and a 7-5 bowl team. And I think they're
the pool and weed eater bowl.
Right. Well, the pinstripe. They're in the pinstripe bowl is where these guys live. So right. I'm going to take Boston College. Speaking of Eastern Michigan. Directional Michigan game, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan. Central getting 6 points at home in this one. Eastern.
You mentioned last week, you might as well take a parlay with all the Michigan teams.
Yeah, everyone knows I love Eastern Michigan. This is one of my teams. I know they didn't cover last week against Central Connecticut, but they were favored in that game by 32.5 points. That's not an Eastern Michigan game that we're going to bet. We bet the Eastern Michigan against Illinois, where they were 7-point dogs and beat them outright. We bet them last year on the money line against Purdue at Purdue when Purdue everyone loved them, and we were on Eastern Michigan in that one, and that was a Saturday show. They didn't cover at Kentucky, They beat Coastal Carolina. I love this Eastern Michigan team. Last week, Western Michigan against Central Michigan. We were both on the chips, and they were getting 17.5 when we gave out the pick. The line went to 15, and they ended up not covering the 15, but covering the 17.5, losing by 16, dead in the middle. This is one of those games. How do those guys get it so close, right? It's like they hit it right in the middle. It was like we could have got the 17.5, laid the 15, and hit both sides. So we have issues here. So,
right. No, I'll go Michigan. I'll go Michigan State or Eastern Michigan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm on EMU in this one. I'm laying 6. This will be one of my best bets of the day, to be honest. I love Eastern in this spot. Eastern's not a novelty act anymore. This is a bowl team. This is one of our teams. Kind of like in college basketball, people sent me the Vermont shirts to wear on the show. I'm expecting Eastern Michigan shirts too.
I got a nephew who graduated Vermont, so the Catamounts. So
Vermont was our team on the show. We gave out Vermont so many times that they sent us shirts. Anyways, we got Northern Illinois.
Nice.
We got Northern Illinois against Ball State. The Huskies laying 5 in this one against the Cardinal, two of the most popular team nicknames in all of sports. Huskies and Cardinal. Steve, anything going on here? -5 for the Huskies.
I think this is penny worthy here, brother.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think we'll just go with the coin flip in this one. Northern Illinois at home, 76% of the public. The line dropping from 6.5 to 5. Ball State. My guess is this one comes. It's going to be super close. Anyway, Ball State, and I think that's who I would have picked in this one anyway. To be honest with you, Ball State getting 5. So
I'll go with the flip here, brother.
Yeah, you can't go against the penny. Go to Middle Tennessee against Marshall. Middle Tennessee +4 against the Thundering Herd. That tough defense, but really took it on the chin last week. I really thought Marshall was going to play, I believe it was Cincinnati, a lot tougher than what they did. Yeah, they played Cincinnati. They lost 52-14 in that game. That tough Marshall defense that we saw, really give Boise fits.
Yeah.
But here they go up against Middle Tennessee. You took them last week against Iowa. They got absolutely smoked, 48-3. Yeah,
smoked.
Yeah, the line was 23.5, and they never got a whiff of it.
Let's cut to the chase. I'll go Thunder and Herd here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Marshall as well in a kind of a comeback game for them. And let's see. So we're into these 3:30 games, so we're close to the end of the show here. But we both took Marshall -4. Big line move in this game from 7 to 4. We got Miami laying 14 against Virginia Tech here. Steve, any thoughts?
Miami, you're asking me my thoughts on Miami?
Yeah,
everybody knows.
I'm writing down the picks.
You're Miami.
I'm the class secretary here.
I'm going to throw it right back at you. What are your thoughts?
I think I like Virginia Tech plus the points in this one. I think Miami wins the game. I think they play worse than they probably should. I think the game's a lot closer than it should be. I like Miami.
Does our audience know that Miami is the best recruiting?
Everybody knows everything about Miami.
And every year you're going to win the national championship.
Believe me,
everybody is aware of this.
We've been together for 12 years. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. It's not like I'm,
Well, they don't know as long as I've known that.
No, but they know. I wear the Miami hat on the show, and I wear the jerseys. I got my Ray Lewis jersey. I got my Andre Johnson jersey. I got my, Edgerrin James jersey. I got them all. I wear them.
Well, the bad news for anybody with Miami is they're not wearing those jerseys right now. I'll take Virginia Tech in the points.
I like Virginia Tech in the points here, but I think Miami wins this game. I just think that they make some mistakes.
I do too. I don't think they're going to cover 14.
I just don't think they're going to cover. But I think Virginia Tech is. I'll tell you who's on the way out is Justin Fuente. This guy.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
He stinks. It just shows you. Like I always said on the show, and I've said it, in bar rooms before that Frank Beamer is one of the greatest college coaches of all time. You could say Newt Rockne, Barry Switzer, and all these guys. Those guys did it at Notre Dame, Oklahoma, whatever. Tom Osborne, Nebraska. This guy went to the national championship at Virginia Tech. It's like, that is ridiculous, you know? Anyways, speaking of ridiculous, Commander-in-Chief game got Navy plus 3.5 against Air Force. Believe the Middies have some quarterback issues here in this one. And we know in that option offense, it all kind of revolves around the quarterback. So I'm not sure what Perry's status is. I'm taking a quick look here to see if there's any kind of update. Looks like Perry is still questionable. He left last game with shoulder injury. It's unknown if he's going to be available. And I got to say that if he is available, I love him with the points here. If he's not available, well, I don't like backup quarterbacks that have to make decisions, a lot of decisions. So
we got some sad news in this game, though. I don't know if you're aware, Mitch.
What's that?
The Falcon, the mascot, 23 years young, passed away this week. And you know how he passed away for the Air Force cadets? Army did a little prank that went a little awry last year, and he's been hanging on, but he passed away apparently 24 hours ago. So I got to think the Air Force squad is going to be a little bit motivated in this one.
Is that who you're taking?
Point with Navy, quarterback issues. And again, I saw Air Force a couple weeks ago. That was the Boise State game. I like Air Force here. I do. And Navy, you know, Navy has always been consistent. Not maybe the last 2 years. I'll go with the points here. I'll go with Air Force.
Yeah.
So this is like the Seinfeld episode.
I'm on Navy. So we got Minnesota. Minnesota hosting Illinois. Fleck did me in last week. Not the first time I've been Fleck. But 14 in this one against Illinois. Lovie Smith. Don't know what to expect from Lovie week to week.
Huh.
Minnesota quietly 4-0.
Yeah. Where's this game at?
At Minnesota.
At Minnesota. No, I'll go Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going to take Illinois plus the 14. I just think that that even though they have the losses, they've been competitive, and I think that's all we need to cover 14. Getting 14 right in Illinois' wheelhouse. Speaking of big numbers, 46. Bowling Green Falcons, not to be confused with the Air Force Falcons. 46 at Notre Dame, the Irish. Normally I would throw in a snide comment here, scheduling up, but they actually have played a fairly decent schedule this year, and they do have some games, I believe, left on the schedule that might be a little tougher than people give them credit for, like USC.
Yeah, of course. They got USC and Stanford still to come.
Stanford's terrible.
Yeah, but Notre Dame, Stanford is...
I mean, we covered with Oregon State against Stanford.
I got that. Now, listen, the new audience members who, being introduced, I'm a Notre Dame guy. I've always have been. Trying to be objective here. That's a lot of points, man. 45.5. Bowling Green, I get it. It's Bowling Green. I got to go with Bowling Green. I can see the Irish taking their foot off the pedal. Maybe, I could see like a 40-point win. Late, 38-6. I don't see Notre Dame throwing 50, 60 up.
I got Notre Dame in this one. I'm not even thinking twice.
Bowling Green in the point,
I'm taking Notre Dame in this one. I'm not even thinking twice about it. They've played in a lot of tight games this season, and I think when you play in a lot of tight games, a lot of hard games, and you have like USC coming up and these other games that you got to get the backups in. So when you play in a lot of tight games, the backups don't play much. So This is their chance. This is their Rudy moment. They're home. Let's
be real. This is going to be at least 30-0.
It's probably. I'm going to guess it's homecoming in South Bend. And
I was thinking about that. I'm going to say it's maybe a week away. Maybe a week or two away.
Well, I'll check into it while we're going over the next game.
I think 45.5 is a lot of points.
We got Western Michigan up against Toledo. Who do you like in this one? You got Directional Michigan is Western Michigan is getting 1.5 on the road against a pretty good Toledo team.
If I remember correctly, Western Michigan beat up on our Chippewas last week, correct?
Yeah, they did.
They did. They're a good team. Toledo, I think this is a fair matchup, and hence the spread, right? A low spread here. I'll go with Western Michigan here. I think they're coming off a high of knocking the crap out of the Chippewas. And I think you and I both took the Chippewas last week. So I'll ride a little Western Michigan stock here.
Yeah, I'm going to take Toledo. I just like the way that the Rockets have been playing. I think they're pretty tough in this one. So.
Good. Hence the point spread. It's a very small point spread.
Notre Dame has USC and Michigan up next, then Virginia Tech, Duke, Navy, Boston College, Stanford. So there's a few tough games in there. I think that Boston College game is going to be a lot tougher than what they expect. I think the Eagles are only going to get better with the senior leadership.
Virginia Tech game at BC or
it's at Notre Dame. They also have the Michigan game is at Ann Arbor. It's probably going to be for Jim Harbaugh's coaching career at Michigan.
Oh, you better believe it.
And then USC comes to town for that one. Expect a big USC turnout for that game as well. There always is. So,
listen. I'm going to go with Notre Dame, meaning I'm going to go Bowling Green. I think 45.5 is a lot of points.
Anyways, I'm on Toledo and this other one against Western Michigan. I think at home, this is where they get it done. The Rockets are tough. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. The total in this one is 72.5, and I like the over the best in that game. And that'll be really my play here is over in Toledo, Western Mich. We'll go to the next game. Arkansas State against Georgia State. Two states that are states. Georgia State getting 7, 2-2 on the season. Of course, the big win over Tennessee. Arkansas State, you can figure this team out. You are better than I am, which I'm sure a lot of people out there are anyway. But we have Arkansas State coming off that 50-43 win over Troy. Back-to-back wins. They've won 3 of their last 4 after the 50. But the one that the sandwich, the loss in the 3 out of 4 is that 55-0 loss between the Hedges at Georgia. Meanwhile, Georgia State coming off a push last week against Texas State, 3-point loss. They lost by 47 to Western Michigan. The big win over Furman, and of course the big win over Tennessee. We got Georgia State is getting 7 points at home in this one.
I'm going to go Arkansas State.
This is a really tough one.
It is a tough one.
It's a tough one. I'm going to take Georgia State at home. I don't love this game. I'll be honest with you. I'm not rushing out to bet it. It's like you won't see me at the window saying, 3 large on Georgia State. It's not going to happen. All right, maybe you will, but it's like it doesn't mean I like it. Stranger things have happened.
All
right, we got Buffalo up against Ohio in the last of the MAC games. The last few games, at least, are teams that are very mainstream Power 5 conference teams. Conference games. So in this one, Buffalo 3.5-point dogs at home against a 1-3 Ohio team.
I'm going to go Buffalo at home. I'm disappointed, actually, in the Ohio squad, Coach Solich. We actually talked about it a couple of weeks ago on our show, and Ohio laid an egg. I like Buffalo at home. I
got to go the other way in this one. It's, we have inverse line movement going on. They're coming out. Ohio's lost 3 straight games. Pitt, Marshall, Louisiana, Lafayette, 3 pretty tough teams. Meanwhile, Buffalo, the win over Temple, right, the head scratcher, 38-22 at home. Sandwiched in between a bunch of road losses, Liberty, Penn State, Miami of Ohio, really the worst of the bunch. Where they were
throw out the Penn State, they weren't expected to win that.
Yeah, but 2.5-point favorites against Miami of Ohio, and you lost by 14. So I'm going to take Ohio in this one. I think Frank Solich teams in general get better as the season goes on. Speaking of the season going on, we go to Morgantown, West Virginia. The Mountaineers 10.5-point dogs at home, 3-1 on the season in the post-Dana Holgerson era, and this crowd's going to be hopped up as the Texas Longhorns come to town. This is a big one because Morgantown. I've been to a lot of college football stadiums in my life, And I would say the scariest moment was in Morgantown, and when Tremaine Mack blocked the punt and ran it in for the touchdown with 32 seconds left to go, and I started jumping up and down, and a guy about 6'10" tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Congratulations on your win. You're going to die." And I really thought that could happen. So
he was the Grim Reaper, huh?
Yeah. So
you really thought he was the Grim Reaper.
That was the battery game where the players wore helmets on the sideline the entire game as they were getting pelted with batteries the whole game. And yeah, that was back in the day. West Virginia back then, and I don't know if you could still do it, and those of you in West Virginia can answer this for me or that have been to Morgantown recently, but they let you leave the stadium at halftime and come back in. I swear they did. That you don't see that often, but they had that policy. You can leave the stadium at halftime and then come back. I'd never seen it before. I've never seen it since.
I like that policy.
But how about 10.5 with the Mountaineers at home? It's a big
I'm taking
one.
Texas all the way, 10.5. Yeah.
I love the Mountaineers at home.
I know you would. Sorry.
I just think that it's too much of an emotional game. The line has moved, to all the money's on Texas, and the line has moved, to represent that as well. So when that happens, the sharps and the squares, and we call it the world, is on Texas.
I think Texas has turned the corner where they're really trending up.
I could see.
Texas fan. Big Sam Plunger fan.
I'm really active in our Facebook group, and I see a lot of these parlay tickets that a lot of people post, and this is the type of game that busts up those 6-17 parlays. People on Texas in this game where West Virginia loses by 10. They're down by 17. They come down. They score that touchdown to make it 10. They do the onside kick. Texas recovers. 3 kneel down. We're out of here. And I think that's this type of game. Seen it a million times, and I think we see it again. Speaking of a game that we've seen a million times, Kansas State against Baylor. These teams play 4 times a year. And, the Big 12, it's always this interesting style of games. And last week, Kansas State was on the wrong end of it against Oklahoma State. Meanwhile, Baylor coming off of a war against Iowa State where we saw that this is a lot better Baylor team than Steve Monahan called them some pretty nasty things on this show last week.
So well.
Yeah. See, it's like if you're a show, the lawyers are going to be calling you type comments. But I'll tell you, Baylor.
Is this the same university that the basketball players kill each other?
Baylor.
Cover it up. Is that the
say whatever you want? Baylor's 4-0 this season.
Okay.
4-0. I love the Bears.
Finals before that. What a clean program Baylor is.
I'm not saying anything about that. I'm saying this year's Baylor team.
4-0.
I mean, you could say that about every program. You could say it about every program. Like a bad apple ruins the whole bunch. You could say it about every. There's not a program out there. I mean, you pick Penn State.
That's a fair point.
The tickle monster, right?
Point.
I mean, the tickle monster. I mean, to me, of all college football scandals, the Michael Stonebreaker falling drunk on the sidewalk, the Miami, whatever they did, all of them combined don't come close to what happened with the tickle monster. And I'll tell you, you took Penn State. I still, it's like, it took me a while to let that go. And, I have let it go. This is the first time I've mentioned it in, 3 hours? And I'm telling you, with Baylor, this is a school that says, you know what? Something went really wrong here. No excuses. We're going to clean house, and we're going to start over again with very light penalties. Very light to no penalties.
Are you kidding me? They're going to start over, really.
I love Baylor plus 1.5 here. One of the best offenses you'll ever see. Who are you like?
Baylor
plus the 1.5.
I'll take the thugs of Baylor.
You'll take the points, but you won't take your kids there for a college visit, is what he said.
No, even close.
Our last game of today's show.
That Mickey Mantle died at Baylor Medical University.
Our last game of today's show. The last game in the
Hey,
3-game
before you do that, we have Steve. Pittsburgh +5 at Duke.
Yeah, that game's tomorrow.
I know. Can we? Yeah, I mean, he's asking a question.
It's all right. The game, it's on tomorrow's show.
All right. Steve, I tried.
I like Duke. Anyways.
I tried, Steve.
Tell him who you like. I like Duke. Go ahead.
All right. We like Duke.
We like Duke. Anyways.
Like Duke. Oh, Duke.
Anyways, speaking of games we like, Auburn up against Florida. My pick to win the SEC, marching right along.
Save the goodie for last year.
It's the way the schedule was written out.
It's probably the best game of the weekend, right?
5-0 versus 5-0. 5-0 versus 5-0. Someone's O has got to go. Florida versus Auburn. My pick to win the SEC against, I don't know, it's, Florida last week. I took them last week against Towson, laying 39.5. They won by 38. And I'll tell you, they did not look good against Towson. I'm not saying they opened up the bag of tricks, against Towson. I understand that. But Auburn has been scheduling up and playing the big boys every single week. This is not like an Ohio State 5-0 or like an Alabama 5-0. This is a 5-0 where it's like it's the
Alabama. They're not playing patsy so much. They've earned that 5-0.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the schedule doesn't get any easier for them. They still have LSU and Alabama, and they still got and this game at the Swamp. I mean, they play it.
I agree. I'm all in on Auburn.
Yeah, Steve.
I know they're on the road in the Swamp. I'll take 3 points in Auburn. I think, and the reason Gus Malzahn, the head coach, is back calling the plays. Right, it's been about a 2-year thing with Auburn where he kind of, outsourced it to some offensive coordinators. But when Auburn is on, Gus Malzahn is calling the plays. I think he's more focused as the head coach. I think their talent level. I like Florida. Don't get me wrong. They're up and coming. I'm a big Dan Mullen fan. You and I talked about that a couple weeks ago where, you're not so much a Dan guy. I'd see Florida relevant in about a year or two. In the big game here, I'll take Auburn and 3 points.
Auburn was my pick to win the SEC at the beginning of the season. I have not wavered one bit. 5-0 against the number this season. I picked them every single week this season, and I will continue to pick them all the way through the Alabama game. And I don't know if they in the playoffs. If I do. But I picked them. I'll be picking them 12 times this season minimum, as I've taken them every single week. And I'll tell you what.
If we fast forward, I got Alabama against Auburn.
Yeah, go take them all you want. This is a you know what they call that game for Alabama?
What?
A bad spot. It's a bad spot because Auburn.
From that, but I'm an Alabama.
Yeah, well, the game's at Auburn this year, and I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you that Auburn is the better team this year. They have a defensive line, and we saw what happens with Tua against the defensive line. He gets pumped, and we've seen it before. We saw it in the national championship game last year. And what a lot of people forget about that national championship game last year is the score, right? That's what people forget the most. It's like
our listener David Stanton said Auburn is 5-0.
Yep, we got it on the screen.
That's another thing.
Steve, who's your top? Who do you like? Who's your top? So we've wrapped up the show. I'll do a recap in a second.
Yeah.
While I'm recap, Steve, who do you like as your top play of this half of the show?
I like Oklahoma covering 32 over Kansas. Number 1 stands out to me. There's a couple games we haven't talked about.
Right, he's talking about the first half of the show of the games. These show games on this show. That's a good choice. I like that one too.
Yeah,
it's a good one. Nothing wrong with that one.
I'll take Penn State too over Purdue.
I like Purdue a lot in that one. All right.
Nah, Penn State like laying wood on them.
I think you put a couple bucks on Tulane and just don't even watch the game. Don't check the score. Just go to the window with the ticket. Give it to the clerk like it was a winner. If you're in Jersey, go over to the Meadowlands. They have a book. There's Atlantic City's got books.
Yeah.
Go there. Go right.
And you can actually go about 50 miles north from North Jersey up to the Catskills World Casino or Catskills World Resort. They got a sports book now, so
Yeah. So
you want to drop bets around the tri-state area, and you can.
It's live now.
What do you like?
It's live now. But anyways, I'm going to recap what we talked about on today's show.
Who's your best bet? I mean, I just threw one out.
Of these, probably Tulane. At least at this point, I like Tulane. I like Tulane. I like Boston College. I like Eastern Michigan. I like those three for sure.
All right. Okay. So let's recap, my brother.
We both took Georgia Southern laying the points. I took East Carolina plus the 12. Steve took Temple minus the 12. Steve took UCF minus 3.5. I took the Bearcats of Cincinnati in that one. I like the over in the San Jose State New Mexico game. I don't care who wins the game. Steve likes New Mexico, and that one's still it's a Notre Dame ties, whatever. Then you got Oklahoma State minus 10. We both like them in that one. I'd like that game a bunch too. Then we got we both took Maryland to get it done against Rutgers. We both took Utah State to cover against LSU. LSU big spot next week, so it's another look ahead game. It's a look ahead game for them. Then you have I took Tulane minus 3. Steve took Army plus 3. This one looks funny in this one.
Army all the way.
Steve took Iowa plus 3.5 against Michigan. I took Iowa on the money line. I think they outright beat them. USF minus 11. We're both on that one. And what is not such a clear-cut thing. I like Wisconsin minus 35 against Kent State. I like that one a lot. That one will probably be on Saturday. I'll probably be doing that. Steve likes the other side in Kent State. Oklahoma minus 32. We both agree. I think that's a whitewashing as well. TCU plus the 3.5 for me. Iowa State minus 3.5 for Steve. Steve likes Penn State. I like Purdue. Boston College plus 5.5. Steve likes the other side. Louisville minus 5.5. Eastern Michigan for both of us. Love me some Eastern Michigan. We know that one. We've been riding them for quite a long time, and let's just say they've been paying the bills for us. We did the coin flip, and the penny came up Ball State. So that was our pick in that one. We both took Marshall minus 4. Virginia Tech plus 14. We agreed on that as well against Miami. I think Miami wins the game. And I think Miami wins the game. Virginia Tech covers the spread. I took Navy plus the 3.5. Saturday, I'll have an update on that when we know Perry's status. Steve likes the Force. May the Force be with them. He likes Minnesota. I got flecked last week, and so I took Illinois again. I struggle with PJ Fleck. I know that.
You hate PJ Fleck.
I got Fleck issues. Then it's like I took Notre Dame minus 46. Steve took the other side. This is kind of like the Cowboys-Dolphins game where it's like bizarro world.
Bizarro world. You're right.
I took the over in the Toledo Western Michigan game, and Steve took Western Mich. Georgia State plus 7 for me. Steve laid the 7 with Arkansas State. Usually when I don't know, I just take the points. That's what I just always think starting with points is a good place to be, except the next game where I took Ohio, Frank Solich, and Steve took Buffalo plus 3.5. I took West Virginia at home getting 10.5. Steve took Texas minus 10.5. Both took Baylor plus 1.5. And Steve's changing his opinion on Baylor a little bit. He kind of likes those guys. And then Auburn, we both liked against the Gators in the Swamp. That wraps up today's show. I'm going to go watch some baseball. Thanks, Steve, for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow around the same time, 4 o'clock Eastern time, probably on time tomorrow. We'll have our technical difficulties fixed. I got that Google screen that I showed you. It's click this. It's like, see the big red arrow? Do this. Do this. It's like, I can do that. Anyway, this is Mitch. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys at halftime of tonight's Rams-Seahawks game. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Thanks, Mitch, for having me on, buddy. Thanks, everybody.